Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the one thing nobody talks about, the base game, and not just the base game, but specifically how much harder the base game is than the game with both DLCs installed. Oh yes, I know, get those comments ready, because I'm here to tell you the base game is a much harder overall experience than the game with the DLCs. I've been playing this character for a while, so I could do a build guide for a character in the base game, and then I started coming across all these issues that I'd forgotten about. Let's get into it. First of all, the game is harder to play because you've only got the vanilla area up to Loghorian with the 3 leveling dungeons, Steps of Torment, Bastion of Chaos and the Port Valbury thing. Now, if you play through the campaign, you get to the end of normal in the base game, you probably won't yet be level 50. I did quite a lot of running around farming gear on this character, and I was not level 50 at the end of normal. Now, you get the notification pop up saying, yeah, you can go into Elite. So you go into Elite, which is where I am now, and you'll be lucky if your resistances are high enough to cope with Elite difficulty. Because with the DLCs, if you play through the whole of normal, that means if you do the base game, you do Malmoth, you do Forgotten Gods, if you go through all of that, by the time you get into Elite, you'll probably have, well, you can get 47 shrines in normal difficulty with the DLCs. With the base game, you can only get 28. So at the end of normal, you go into Elite. If you've got all of them, you've only got 28 shrines. Now when you go into Elite, so you think, oh yeah, that's okay, I'll just get the rest of them at the start of Elite. No, there are fewer shrines in Elite than in normal on the base game. Most of the early ones are missing. For example, you come into the Convict's Tunnel and you go and kill Viloth, and then you find out that that shrine isn't there, and there are others that are not there. So you don't have that thing where you could get, if with DLCs you get 47 shrines in normal and you get another 8 at the start of Elite, so you've got your 55 shrines sorted before you've even finished just at the point of finishing Act 1 in Elite. Whereas in the base game, you won't even have 30. You'll be in Elite and you won't even have 30 devotion points. Plus, you've got, this cap is 50. I got 36 because I went crazy and I got 27, and I've also got as far as, where have I got as far as? Cross the bridge near Twin Falls, speak to Calderos outside Steps of Torment. So yeah, I've got a few Act 2 ones as well now, which has got me up to 36, but you've got a cap of 50. You've also not got all the constellations. Quite a few of the handy constellations, like where's Murmur? Murmur's not there. Murmur doesn't exist, and for this kind of build is one I rely on. Anyway, that's the ranting about the difficulty and the shrines out the way, sort of. Stash is just great in the base game. You've got 1 page of your own stash. You can't buy more. There aren't more tabs to buy. You've got 1, and in your transfer, you've only got 4. Now I know that with the DLCs, there are 6 for the shared stash, and you can buy more for your own, and you still get a load of people online complaining on the Crate Forum, oh, why don't we have more stash tabs? If you want to experience the joy of not having very many stash tabs, go back to playing the base game. There's no button to automatically transfer your components over, so you have to go and shift click on these things. You have to find them yourself. So I mean, you can sort it into order. It's not the end of the world that you have to do this, but you do have to do it, and you have to go and find them on other tabs where they've got and that's not, and you can accidentally do, yeah, so you can see that that's a faff. There's a button on the once you get the DLCs installed, there's a button on there. There's a whole load of quality of life enhancements. There's no search, so there's no search. So if you're an item transfer, if you're in there and you're trying to find something with a particular damage type on it, you have to go and hover over everything and look. You can't type. There's no search bar. And what I'm talking about there is if you go to the smith or you go to whatever, there's your search bar. So you can put a search term in there. Now, with the DLCs installed, I'm not sure which one did it. I don't know whether it was a Malmouth one or Forgotten Gods. Possibly Forgotten Gods did put the search into your stash. But anyway, it's not there on the base game. So that makes the game harder. It makes it slightly more frustrating. It does make it harder because it makes it harder to find gear that you've picked up that might be useful, etc. Your level cap is 85, so you've got a whole bunch of levels that you're never going to get. You're going to get to 85. That means you've got fewer attribute points, fewer skill points, and people will say, oh yeah, but it's a base game, you don't need to be level 100 to complete the base game. No, you actually don't, but you have to be a little bit more tactical about doing your build. And of course, obviously, you've only got the first 6 masteries: Soldier, Occultist, Demolitionist, Arcanist, Nightblade, whatever. You haven't got Necromancer, you haven't got Inquisitor, you haven't got Oathkeeper. So you can't create all those wonderful builds including those masteries. Alright, you can create wonderful builds including the original masteries, but for some people, not being able to create a warlord character might make the game a lot harder for them. There aren't any totems. There are no totems in the base game, so you've got to just run around and hope that you get stuff dropping from hero enemies or randomly from bosses or whatever. You can't do this wonderful run through Broken Hills and hit a couple of totems to get some stuff. And you obviously can't go into Shattered Realms, because Shattered Realms doesn't exist without the Forgotten Gods DLC. Now, I'm not saying the game isn't fun. It's the same game. It's the same gameplay. You create a character, you run around, you kill stuff, you get loot, you level up, you get your skill points, all that. It's still fun, and I will complete this character up to the heady heights of level 85 with no XP potions. Yeah, because that's the other thing. You'll have no XP pots. You can't go up to Mammoth Resistance and get revered and buy an XP pot to make the last few levels a little bit speedier. I've got a feeling the last few levels getting up to 85 on this are going to be a massive grind, which is fine if that's what you're into. But I think what would happen if you played this game and liked it and got up to the low 80s and started thinking, oh, this is great, but it's going to be a bit of a grind and I'm going to hit 85 and then what am I going to do? Just clear Steps of Torment over and over. I think at that point you then think, I'm going to get the DLCs, because I've had to look. That Muppet on the Arcadelife channel is telling me this is the best game ever, which it is, and it's the best game ever once you get the DLCs installed. Without the DLCs, it's kind of it's a bit of a hit or miss. I could understand people playing just the base game and finding it a bit of a frustrating experience and quite hard. And I think back in the day, I mean, right back at the start, even when components used to drop and they weren't whole components, you had to pick up like fragments of components and assemble them. I didn't enjoy playing the game. It was too much of a chore. It was too much of a grind. Although there's still some grind left in it, they've got rid of most of it, and it is a much more streamlined experience. And if you get the DLCs, it is truly wonderful. If you're into action RPGs, it's great. The base game, I'd say, if you're playing it and you're thinking, oh, this is all right, but it's not really as good as it could be. If you're enjoying the fundamentals of running around and you've watched some videos of other people playing this and seen how much better it is with the DLCs, go and get the DLCs. If you are playing the base game and absolutely hating it for fundamental reasons, not trivia like I'm mentioning, like the level cap and the stash search and whatever. If you genuinely don't enjoy it, then don't waste your money on the DLCs. If you think you're going to get some kind of fun out of it, seriously get the DLCs, and then, like me, you can spend thousands of hours of your life leveling up wonderful characters. But yeah, I hope this has been of some use, and I hope, because I get a lot of comments in videos I post with DLC content, people saying, oh, I can't see this, I can't do that, and it's always because they're on the base game and there's stuff, not obvious stuff like the master is, but oh, I went here in Elite and there's no shrine, and you think, yeah, you're on the base game, because it's not a bug. The shrines don't disappear because of bugs. The shrines aren't there because you've gone into Elite and you're running around. Or, I mean, I went to the Port Valbury shrine on this character in normal. It wasn't there because it's not there in the base game. They unlocked. What they did was they put a whole load more shrines in early, just to make it easier to get your devotion points maxed out quickly, because the devotion stuff is fun. But if you're drip fed the devotion points slowly, it's more of a chore, so it's much fun. Anyway, that's it for this. This is the one thing no one talks about, is not just the base game, but how hard it is compared to the game with DLCs. If you agree, fantastic. If you disagree for whatever reason, I'm more than willing to read your comments and disagree with them. So yeah, it's kind of obvious. The base game is harder. It's a harder game to play than the game with the DLCs. And if you're starting anew and you're up against not understanding the complexities, and you're also up against getting drip fed the shrines, getting forced into Elite difficulty before you want to go because you've cleared everything in normal and you're suddenly dumped into Elite, and you haven't got a Malmoth to run through and you haven't got a Forgotten Gods to run through before going into Elite, yeah, it's a harder game. I think it's not even open to argument. I'm right. I'm right. It's a harder game, but get it, enjoy it, play it, get the DLCs, and have a load of fun. I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Thank you for watching this one and putting up with my waffle. As always, have a great day.